So before that, what we covered so far, we covered aggregation functions so far, right? Like the count function, count x, count a function, count ax function, and distinct rows, count rows, distinct function, and then count rows function, distinct count, we covered so far. And also I explained you the difference between sum and sum x, and with some examples, right? I walked you through what how to perform aggregation using sum and sum x function. And also we have seen average ax function, and rounding functions like a floor, ceiling, and round up, round down, those functions, right? Round functions, we have seen it. Logical functions also we have seen it, right? So and, or, not, and switch function, importantly, that is very much helpful in in Power BI DAX. Okay, I would suggest you all to review my last session videos one more time, right? If you revisit it one more time, so that you will be able to understand, recollect all these things. And then next one is information functions. And today we'll take a look at the information functions, and then we will continue with the filter functions, and if possible we'll continue with table functions and relationship functions. And the rest of them, let me see if I can cover it today or this upcoming Saturday or so, right? We'll cover everything. And the time intelligence is a very important function. Okay, so this is also very, very important. And importantly, the filter functions and table function relationship, these are all the very important functions. Let me see how far I can make progress in today's session. We will start with understanding the information functions. Okay, the aspect of information functions, we will take a look at the one second. Let me just one second. Okay, so as part of information functions in DAX, right, we will take a look at the most frequently used functions like is blank, is logical, is number, is text, right? So contains and is error, how to use these functions. It's very simple function. I just go to the Power BI desktop. Here itself I'll demonstrate how to use these functions. I just go here and I will show you this one. Let me select the fact sales. Is blank is very pretty simple one. Let me just delete set and let me do some kind of housekeeping, because I have created many. Look here, the switch function I gave you demo in the last session, right? Or let me give some meaningful name to this instead of deleting this. Cost bucket or something like that. Cost bucket. And the next one is, this is the logical function. The switch function falls under logical functions. One second, let me just logical order date. So let me probably delete these. So right, so we'll get started with this. And what I do is I just go and create a new column. We can go and check whether the column has blank value in it or not. So for example, blank column, something like that. Okay, for meaningful name, to understand the syntax, everything. I'll be uploading this file today also. You can download this function to understand what functions, where I used it. I can start with the calculated column name as blank column here. So is blank. For example, if you want to check whether a column has a blank value in it or not. For example, in our case, let's say fact sales and location key. So this will return true or false. If the location key column has any blank value, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Very simple function. Fine. So now the question is, this one returns true or false. Okay, with this what am I going to do? Okay, what sometimes what we will do is, right, we want to check not is blank, right? So not is blank, something like that. We want to check programmatically only for the non-blank values. You do some kind of operation, something like that. Okay, so in that kind of situation, this is very much helpful. Okay, and look here, is blank is it is returning false, not false it returns true, right? So it returns true. So not is blank, right? So only for non-blank records you do something, some operation. In that kind of situation, is blank function is very much helpful. And also, if you want to check, how many of you remember in the case of count function, count family of functions explained you, the customer column has a blank value in it, but though it has a blank value in it, when we did the column profiling, it was not considering the blank value as a blank, right? It was showing that empty string as 1. It considered the blank value as an empty string. So what I did, I created an additional column, a new column. In that column, I have used is blank. If the column is blank, then blank function. Put explicitly blank function, especially in the case of text data type. It consider the blank values as a empty string. In that place, to replace the empty string, I have used the blank function. I don't know how many of you remember it. Look here. So now, right, so in that kind of situation also the blank function is very much helpful. That is one of the applications of using is blank. And next one is, for example, I just create another column. So next one is number, is logical, is error. It's all pretty simple. Even those functions will return true or false. Programmatically, if you want to check if the column has a number data type or text data type. In case of is number, you want to do some kind of type conversion, you can do it. Is number column is equivalent to, for example, I have the sales amount, fact sales, sorry, is number function, fact sales. With this column a number data type. If it is a number data type, it will return true, or else it will return false. It returns true because it's a number data type. Okay, and the next one is, I just create another column. So 1 second, let me just go back here. This one returns true or false. 1 second, I just, okay, is number column. So here, so why don't you tell me one example for this and how will I make it use? So we have another data type called double. We have something called double data type, sorry, currency data type. So currency is also known as a fixed decimal in Power BI, right? It stores a fixed decimal number, which means it can represent 4 decimal points, and it is internally stored as a 64-bit integer value divided by 10,000. You need to remember this. Okay, so what I want to do is, I want to convert this a currency data type. If, for example, I have if function, if is number, if this one is true, convert this as a currency of fact sales. This is one of the applications. Okay, fact sales of sales amount, or else you simply leave it fact sales amount. Or I just simply say, right, simply I'll put it like this. If this one returns true, yeah, result is true, and false also need to specify, right? 1 second, let me just So look here, it converted everything as a currency data. If it is a number data type, you convert it as a currency data type. Otherwise, don't do anything, right? Otherwise, simply don't do anything. So that is what we say it here. Otherwise, we say false. Simply we put false here. Let's see what happens. If it is a number data type, you convert that as a currency data type. We want this to be in a yield data type cannot be used to define calculate. Okay, so I want this one to be written. Okay, anyhow, sales amount. Sometimes what we do is we put some number value, something like that. I'll just show you here. See, in some case, what we do, right, in case of error, in the case of error kind of thing, right, we put 999 some value here. Okay, so that is the one you need to remember. So now you understood, instead of displaying true or false, how to use it practically, how it is helpful. So first you are checking whether this column is a number data type. If it is a number data type, you want this to be converted in currency data type. Alright, so or else, you just think, right, if it is not a number data type, simply put it something like that. So usually what we do is we will consider this as a wrong data type. So I put some 999 some value. So this one, the data in the real time scenario, the data owners or application owners, by putting 9999 4 nines, they'll give some numbers to you. If it is not a number data type, then you need to put something, so that when they go and what they do, they try to filter this column with this value. That means those records have some formatting issues or some data type issues. Okay, this is how we use it in real-time scenarios, and especially in the case of error kind of thing, right, we use it this one. And the next one is blank. Already we have seen it, a blank column. And other one is contains. Let us see how we can use contains function. I just go and create a new column. Not this one, a new column. So I just say contains, which means I'll be using contains here. Okay, you can remember it that way. Just give me a second. The first argument is facts. Look here, so it gives us the syntax itself, right? Contains, the first argument is table, and second argument is column name 1 and comma value 1. So here I'm going to say the fact sales, in this case the table name, argument, column name and value must name in pass in this case. Comma, fact sales, something like product ID. I just go and specify product ID, comma, I'm going to say I'm yet to complete this one. The next one is, let's say P005, and I'm going to say P005, right? So yes, so whether the product ID column has P0 value P005 is there or not, right? So this one also will return true or false. Yes, this column has true or 5 in it. Probably, right, you can put some more conditions or something like you can add one more condition also. For example, P005, whether customer ID the C006 has already purchased or not. Customer ID and dim customer, not this one, sorry. And because we are dealing with fact sales now, fact sales customer ID, comma, whether the customer C006 purchased this product or not. So always you need to put the text value inside the double quotes If you put single quote, it will throw an error. Whereas in SQL Server, if you put single quote, it works, right? SQL queries. Yes, we have a customer C006 and he purchased, these values are present in these two columns. That is what it says. So now we understood what is this one, what is contains, and the next one is new column. Is error, if error, right? So we can use it in real time scenario, even these kind of things. Okay, is error. Value, something like let's say location key column has any error. If this column has any, you remember in the Power Query editor, when we do some kind of data type conversion to a specific variable, for some values, due to some type conversion related issues, right, it convert them as a error, right, it replaces them as an error. So to check whether this column has any error in it or not, we can use it. So is blank, is error, right? Those kind of functions are very much helpful. For example, how to use this one programmatically. Let me put some other thing here. We can use if. With if, we can use is error. Okay, is error. For example, 5 divided by 0. What is 5 divided by? Anything divided by 0 is what? What is that? Can someone tell me? Already used for the column fact sales. Is error. Okay, is error 1 column. See, you are, the numerator is some column here. You just think that way. Okay, and the denominator is some value. Okay, in that case, if the denominator is 0, anything divided by 0, what will happen? Anything divided by 0 is infinity, right? Okay, and 0 divided by anything is 0. Anything divided by 0 infinity. So let's say you are trying to find out the sales ratio or inventory, sales to inventory ratio. Okay, instead of going there, right? So what I am going to do, I want to find out the sales contribution by each category. Sales contribution by each category. In that case, what we do, we can use divide function, right? We can use a divide function. The divide function, numerator and denominator we have to specify. The numerator is let us say my each row's sales amount divided by total sales amount. That is the one gives me the percentage of contribution of each category. So in that case, my let's say my denominator total sales, let's say some is due to some data issues, the denominator it shows 0 here. So what will happen is, since the denominator has 0 value in that column, the total sales column, okay, what will happen? The job will fail. It will throw an error, the job will fail. We don't want the job to fail, because to load a data, job means loading the data into a bigger file. You just think that way. To load a data into fact sales table, it takes, let's say 2.5 days. You want to load a 2 weeks data into that one. You are working for Walmart. The Walmart data is very high. Let the data is loading. It took 1.5 day and 2 days. At the end of the second day, just before completion of the load, the last record has some issue. Okay, because of which what happened? 0. It became 0, and since 5 divided 0 is infinity, it throws and job will fail. 2 days, the job is about were running, and end of the second day it got failed. It's a frustration, right? Still, we just because one record you have missing value, right, or 0 or something like that, we don't want the entire job to fail. So in case of any error, replace it with a 999. So in that case, what will happen is, right? So 5 divided by 0. In this case, 5 divided by 0 here. Okay, here I should have ideally used column name here. Instead of 5, I should have used some column name. Instead of 0, I should have used some column name here. But here we don't have, these kind of thing. So that's the reason why, I have directly hard coded 5 in the numerator, and the denominator I hard coded 0. So for to demonstrate you, right? So when it is really helpful, the is error handling, this is also called as error handling. So in this case, what will happen is, in case of these kind of issues, the job will not fail. It will still run wherever the 0 is coming, right? So this kind of scenario comes, it will replace that with 9. All right. So once the job gets completed, what the again there are some automated jobs. That jobs will kick off automatically. It goes and checks each and every column, especially the numeric column, and it goes and check whether the columns have 999. That means those records were not loaded due to some error. So the next step is the operation team, along with the level 2 support, they do the root cause analysis. Why in the denominator we got 0, right? So at least so whichever record has 4 nines in it. For example, 5% of the records only have 4 nines in it. So what they do is they do some kind of root cause analysis, and then they will correct the issues, and then they reload it. So reloading 10% of the records or 5% of the records will not take much time. Instead of loading the entire data, if we reload only those records which caused problem, right, will not take much time. So in that kind of situation, is error is very much important, right? So error handling is very common in almost all the programming language. Not only it is specific to Power BI, error handling. Okay, is error. So there are some exceptions also. They use a try, catch, and all in other programming languages to handle the error. But here we can use is error function, right? So to handle this. In case of numeric value, is error. Not only numeric, so yeah, especially in this kind of scenario, right? It is or 0 divided by 5, something like that. Okay, so in that kind of situation, this is very much helpful. Please remember this. All right, so next we will continue with the important function, the calculate filter functions.